Hi, it's Devotions with Jan, and this is me. This is actually me when I get up in the mornings. I combed my hair through, stuck it up, took a shower, and left it. I didn't put any makeup on. This is me. And I was hesitant to do this because it's really hard to be this vulnerable and not put any makeup on and not put any color on my lips and not have nail polish on and try to come across as my best self. But this is me. This is who I really am. And I want to read you a story. It comes from 1 Samuel 16. I'm sure you've heard this. But in 1 Samuel 16, it says, "Now the Lord said to Samuel, you have mourned long enough for Saul. I have rejected him as king of Israel. So fill your flask with olive oil and go to Bethlehem. Find a man named Jesse who lives there, for I have selected one of his sons to be my king." But Samuel asked, "How can I do that? If Saul hears about it, he will kill me." "Take a heifer with you," the Lord replied, "and say that you have come to make a sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you which of his sons to anoint for me." So Samuel did as the Lord instructed. When he arrived at Bethlehem, the elders of the town came trembling to meet him. "What's wrong?" they asked. "Do you come in peace?" "Yes," Samuel replied, "I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Purify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice." Then Samuel performed the purification rite for Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice too. When they arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab and thought, "Surely this is the Lord's anointed." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Then Jesse told his son Abinadab to step forward and walk in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, "This is not the one the Lord has chosen." Next Jesse summoned Shimea, but Samuel said, "Neither is this the one the Lord has chosen." In the same way, all 7 of Jesse's sons were presented to Samuel. But Samuel said to Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen any of these." Then Samuel asked, "Are these all the sons you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse replied, "but he's out in the fields watching the sheep and goats." "Send for him at once," Samuel said. "We will not sit down to eat until he arrives." So Jesse sent for him. He was dark and handsome with beautiful eyes. And the Lord said, "This is the one, anoint him." So as David stood there among his brothers, Samuel took the flask of olive oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil. And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. Then Samuel returned to Ramah. As I read that story, it has a lot of significance for me because actually God used that when I met my husband, because I really believe that my husband was not the type from the outside of who I thought I should have as a husband. And yet God saw what I really needed, and God knew what was on the inside. And I thought, I can try to paint a pretty face, and I could try. And I can comb my hair and fix my hair and always make sure, like when I sit down for these videos, I make sure that I don't have stray hairs that might be distracting. And I can do all that. And when I do that, I can try to make myself come across as better or different than what I am on the inside. But what matters to God is who we are on the inside. Who we are on the inside is completely different than who we are on the outside, usually. Now, it doesn't mean that the outside shouldn't reflect what's on the inside, because that is absolutely true. But hopefully when people meet me, they do not look on the outside and determine who I am. Because if they do, they're not going to really know the real me. But God sees us on the inside. He created us in our parents, in our mother's wombs. He created us and made us who we are. Now, along the way, sin and corruption and just decay has taken its effect. But who we are on the inside really determines our relationship with God and our relationship with others. And I was thinking about how God chose this king, who was the right king for these people. And he didn't look like what they thought he would look like. And you may not feel like you look like what you should look like, or that you are on the outside. And maybe you have limitations that are keeping you from doing things that you really want to do and believe you're supposed to do. God sees the heart. God knows. He knows the sin that's in there, but he also knows the places that he is perfecting and cleaning and making what it should be. He created us to be what he wanted us to be for this earth and what this earth needed. So no matter what we look like on the outside, hopefully the Spirit of God within us will come out in our eyes, in our voice, in our touch. When we are with people, may they see and feel and experience the Spirit of God, because that's what's on the inside when we are his children. And I pray that as you go into this day, that you will not worry so much about what's on the outside and how good your hair might look or not look. But you will actually be able to allow the Spirit of God to work and move and breathe and live within you. And that your life will be a reflection of who he is. And that as you live and move and breathe in him, which is another scripture, that we can have his Spirit, that people will see that. When we walk into the room, they'll feel and see his love. When they talk to you, they will experience him. Not that we are him, but that he is in us. And that he is moving and living and breathing through us. I pray that for you today. And hopefully, you won't worry so much about all of this, because what really matters is what's in here. Have a great day.